The classroom was buzzing with excitement. Alien students from all over the galaxy chatted in strange sounds and colors. Each of them had a small creature in a cage or a tank. Some were furry, some had scales, and some glowed softly. The teacher, a tall blue alien with 4 eyes, smiled and clapped its hands. "Today each student will show their class pet," it said. "This is a test of care, teamwork, and trust." Everyone looked around curiously. When it was time for the new student to present, whispers ran through the room. "I wonder what the human brought," a green-skinned student said. "Humans are small. Surely it will be a tiny, cute creature." Another student with tentacles giggled. "Maybe a little robot? Or a baby animal. Humans are always surprising but not dangerous." The door slid open with a soft hiss and all eyes turned. A human stepped in. He was ordinary in size, with short brown hair and calm eyes. In his hands he held nothing at first. Then, with a gentle whistle, a shadow moved behind him. The aliens froze. The human's pet was not small. Was huge. Its fur was dark and shiny, muscles moving under its skin like liquid. Its eyes were sharp and intelligent, golden like fire. It had long claws, but it did not move aggressively. Instead, it walked calmly beside the human, head high and tail swishing slowly. The classroom was silent, the only sound a low, soft growl that vibrated through the air. "What is that?" one alien whispered, hiding behind a chair. Another shook. "Is it allowed?" The teacher's 4 eyes widened. "That is unusual," it said carefully. "A human you brought, that?" The human smiled lightly. "This is my pet," he said. His voice was calm, steady. "Her name is Kira. She is trained, loyal, and gentle with those I trust. She will not harm anyone who behaves properly." The apex predator, Kira, looked around the room slowly, sniffing the air. The alien students took small steps back. Some of them hissed, whispered, or covered their faces with their hands. They had never seen anything like her. Not only was she massive, but she had a presence that made even the bravest student pause. The human knelt slightly and extended his hand. "She listens to me. I want to show you that size or power is not always a threat. Trust is earned." Kira dropped her head and nudged his hand gently with her nose. Her eyes glowed softly, showing no malice, only attention. The students' curiosity grew. One small blue alien in the front raised a tentacle. "But what if she attacks? She is huge. She could crush us all." The human laughed softly, a warm sound. "She does not attack without reason. She protects, not destroys. You will see." The teacher took a deep breath. "Very well," it said, still unsure. "Let us continue. Show us what your pet can do." The human stood, motioned to Kira, and she moved gracefully, almost like water flowing. She picked up a small ball with her claw and brought it back to him. Then she balanced on 2 legs briefly before sitting politely. The alien students blinked. This was not what they expected. They whispered to each other, eyes wide. "It listens, like a human talks to it," one said. Another added, "It's not just big. It seems intelligent." The human knelt again. "She is more than just strong. She understands commands. She learns quickly. She can help you, not just fight. Watch." He tossed a small object across the room. Kira ran after it, faster than any alien could follow, grabbed it carefully and brought it back. No damage, no fear, only precise action. Slowly the students stopped moving back. Some were still scared, but their fear was mixed with awe. They had expected a tiny, harmless pet, and instead they got a creature that could destroy everything in the room. And yet, it followed the humans' orders perfectly. The humans smiled, watching their faces. "You may think I brought danger. But sometimes what looks scary can teach you the most. Kira and I work together. We trust each other. That is why she is calm." The classroom stayed silent for a moment, then the teacher nodded slowly. "Very well. This is different. But it seems impressive. You may stay." Some students whispered in amazement. Some dared to peek closer, noticing the careful way Kira moved, the gentle touch of her nose against the human's hand. The rest of the class went on, but everyone kept glancing at the human and Kira. They could not believe their eyes. A small human with a massive apex predator as a pet, showing strength, intelligence, and calm control. It was a lesson they did not expect and one they would remember for a long time. By the end of the period, a few brave students even approached slowly, curious and cautious. Kira allowed them to touch her fur lightly, never breaking her calm. The room, once full of whispers of fear, now buzzed with questions, amazement, and respect. The human stood quietly, smiling to himself. He had done more than show a pet. He had shown something aliens rarely saw: the power of trust and the strange, unique way humans could command respect from even the most dangerous creatures. And Kira, the apex predator, simply sat at his side, loyal, patient, and ready for whatever came next. The classroom was still buzzing from the surprise of the human and Kira. Alien students whispered nervously to each other. Some of them could not stop staring at the massive predator. Its golden eyes followed every movement in the room. Some students tried to act calm, but their bodies betrayed them. Tentacles twitched, claws flexed, and colors changed on their skin. Fear was everywhere. One student, a small green alien with wings, jumped onto a desk and pointed. "It's huge. She could crush us," it shouted. Others gasped, agreeing loudly. A blue-skinned alien with 6 eyes backed into the wall. "I knew humans were strange, but this is terrifying." Kira lay down slowly on the floor, but she did not sit like a harmless animal. Her muscles moved under her dark fur, each one showing power that no alien had ever handled. The room seemed smaller with her presence. Her low growl vibrated through the floor and walls, making some students shiver. The teacher tried to calm the class. "Everyone please stay calm," it said, but its voice wavered slightly. "The human's pet is trained. There is no need for panic." Some students ignored the warning and kept moving away. The air was thick with tension. The human knelt on one knee and spoke softly to Kira. "Stay. Relax." The predator's ears twitched and she lowered her head. The growl faded. She lay still but kept her eyes on the aliens. Her gaze alone was enough to make them freeze. One brave student, a purple alien with long antennae, raised a hand. "But what if she attacks us? What if she gets angry?" The human smiled gently. "She does not attack without reason. She only follows my commands. If you are calm and respectful, there is nothing to fear." Despite the words, the aliens could not relax immediately. A small group in the back started murmuring about emergency alarms and how to escape. Another student whispered, "This is not a pet. This is a weapon." Some of them even tried to hide under their desks, peeking with wide eyes. The human stood slowly and motioned to Kira. "Show them how you can behave," he said. Kira rose gracefully, stretching her massive body, and then walked slowly to the center of the room. Her movements were fluid and precise, not a single step misplaced. The aliens watched, unable to believe what they saw. Then the human tossed a small object across the floor. Kira sprinted like lightning, faster than any alien could track. She grabbed the object carefully with her teeth and brought it back to him, dropping it gently. She looked at him, waiting for the next command. Some students whispered, amazed. She listens," one said. "She actually listens to him?" A few of the braver students stepped forward cautiously. They wanted to see if the human's words were true. Kira sniffed them lightly, her nose warm and soft. She did not attack. She circled them slowly, giving them a chance to touch her. Some of them reached out, shaking slightly, and petted her fur. It was softer than they expected. One small alien laughed nervously. "It's nice, but still scary." Suddenly, a loud crash came from the back of the room. One student had accidentally knocked over a chair while trying to hide. Kira's ears twitched and she lifted her head. The growl returned, low and warning, not threatening yet. The aliens froze again. The human raised his hand. "It's okay," he said calmly. "Relax, Kira." The predator immediately lay down again, the warning gone. The teacher looked at the human, clearly impressed. You control her well," it said. "I have never seen a student calm a creature of this power so quickly." The human nodded. "She respects calm and trust. That is all she needs." The students were still shaken, but the initial panic started to fade. They whispered among themselves, realizing that the human's bond with Kira was something unusual. Some students were scared. Some were curious. A few even looked at Kira with respect. She was not just a massive predator. She was intelligent, obedient, and controlled. The human knelt again and looked at the class. "You may think she is dangerous," he said. "But power is not always a threat. How you act around her matters more than her size or strength. Trust and respect can do what fear cannot." He smiled at the students. "She's my friend. She protects, she helps, and she learns. And she can teach you the same." By the end of the period, the classroom was calmer. Aliens still whispered nervously, but most of them no longer backed away. Some touched Kira carefully, amazed at how gentle she could be. Others observed quietly, learning from the human and his apex predator. Even the most fearful students could not deny the truth. Kira was dangerous, yes, but she was loyal. And the human's calmness and confidence had turned fear into fascination. For the first time, the aliens realized that humans could handle things that seemed impossible. They could connect with power that others could only fear. Kira lay at the human's feet, watching the room carefully. Her eyes glowed softly, showing intelligence and calm. The aliens whispered, stared, and learned silently. The classroom had changed. Fear was still there, but it was no longer the only feeling. Awe and curiosity had begun to grow. The human simply smiled. He had not just brought a pet to class. He had shown them a lesson that no one would forget. Strength could be controlled, fear could be overcome, and trust could create bonds even with the most dangerous of beings. After the initial panic, the classroom was quiet but tense. Alien students still glanced nervously at Kira, the apex predator. Some were curious, some were still scared, but all were watching the human closely. The human knelt in front of Kira and spoke softly. "Show them what you can do, Kira," he said. The predator's ears twitched, and she nodded slightly before moving with graceful precision. The human held a small tool in his hand. "This is a test of trust," he explained to the class. "She will help me with small tasks. If you stay calm and observe, you will see how trust works." He tossed a tiny container across the room. Kira ran at incredible speed, grabbed it carefully without damaging it, and returned it to him. The aliens gasped. One of the students, a pink-skinned alien with spiny arms, whispered, "She didn't break it. She is careful. She is listening." Another added, "Humans must have a special way with creatures. How else could she obey so perfectly?" The human then walked toward the middle of the room, motioning for Kira to follow. "Trust is not only about giving commands," he said. "It is about understanding and respect. She knows I am not a threat, so she follows me willingly. Watch closely." He placed a small object near the edge of the room. "Kira, fetch it slowly," he said. The predator moved cautiously, walking around the desks, stepping carefully past students who watched with wide eyes. She picked up the object without knocking over anything, then returned it to the human. The students were amazed. Some leaned forward. "She trusts him," whispered a green alien with wings. "Not just obedience, trust." Another said, "I have studied dangerous creatures for years. None of them listen like this. None." The human then called Kira closer. "Now watch how she protects others," he said. A small purple alien tripped over a desk, falling onto the floor. Kira immediately stepped forward, placing herself between the fallen student and the rest of the class. She lowered her head slightly, growling softly, not threatening but warning. The human spoke calmly, "She is keeping them safe." The purple alien got up, trembling. She saved me?" it asked, astonished. Kira sniffed the alien briefly, then lay down, watching carefully. The students began to understand. This predator, terrifying as she was, could be gentle and protective if trust was earned. The human smiled and continued. "Most creatures respond to fear, threats, or dominance. But Kira listens to calm and respect. That is why we can work together." He gestured toward the class. "You may try small exercises with her, one by one, if you stay calm. She will respond to respect, not force." A few brave students stepped forward. One small blue alien cautiously extended a hand. Kira sniffed the hand, then allowed a gentle touch on her fur. The alien gasped. "Her fur is soft and warm," it whispered. Another student, a yellow-skinned alien with long claws, reached out carefully. Kira let them pat her head. Slowly, more students tried, still nervous but growing bolder. The human encouraged them. "Notice how she reacts. Trust must be mutual. She trusts me because I am calm and careful. You will see the same if you treat her with patience." The students began learning an important lesson. It was not only about Kira. It was about how humans connected with creatures stronger than themselves. Even the most skeptical students could see the difference. Kira was massive, powerful, and could easily harm anyone. But she followed commands, protected the weak, and allowed gentle interaction. It was a new concept for the aliens, who often relied on force to control dangerous creatures. By the end of the lesson, the classroom was filled with cautious excitement. Students no longer feared Kira as much. Instead, they respected her intelligence and the human's calm control. Whispers of amazement spread across the room. "I never imagined a predator could be this obedient," one alien said. "Humans really are different," another added. The teacher, observing quietly, nodded with approval. "This is a valuable lesson. Trust can achieve what fear cannot. You have demonstrated a bond that few have seen in this academy." The human smiled but said nothing. Kira lay at his side, calm and alert, eyes following each student carefully. The classroom had changed. Fear was no longer the first reaction. Curiosity and respect had replaced some of the panic. The students realized that humans could handle things no one else could. They could connect with power, not just fear it. The human finally spoke. Trust is a two-way street. Kira trusts me because I respect her. You can see that strength alone is not enough. Understanding, patience, and calmness matter more. He looked around the room. This is the lesson I wanted you to learn today. Not just about Kira, but about how humans approach life and challenges. The students nodded quietly. Many were still amazed, some were still nervous, but all had learned something new. They had seen strength paired with care, danger paired with protection, and power paired with trust. Kira rested her head on her paws, calm and alert. The students whispered among themselves, still staring, still fascinated. The humans' lesson had begun to sink in. For the first time, the aliens understood that humans were special. They could form bonds that no one else could, and even a terrifying predator could become a teacher and protector under the right guidance. The class ended, but the memory of Kira and the human stayed with everyone. They had learned more than how to handle a predator. They had learned how trust could change fear into respect and curiosity into understanding. And that lesson was unforgettable. The next day, the class went on a field exercise outside the academy. The students were to explore a nearby forest and study its plants and creatures. Everyone was cautious, but their curiosity was high. The human walked at the front, with Kira moving beside him. She was calm, alert, and clearly ready for anything. The alien students kept a careful distance, still fascinated by her size and intelligence. The forest was dense, with tall glowing trees and strange vines hanging down. Alien birds with many wings flew overhead, and tiny creatures scurried across the ground. The students took notes and pictures, whispering to each other about how the human seemed so confident, even with such a huge predator at his side. Suddenly, a loud screech echoed through the trees. The students froze. From the shadows, a rogue creature appeared. It was large, covered in thick scales, and had sharp claws that dug into the ground. Its eyes glowed red and it growled, clearly hunting the group. Panic erupted immediately. Some students tried to run, but the creature blocked the path. "Stay calm," the human shouted firmly. Kira's ears twitched. She growled low and moved slightly forward, placing herself between the human and the threat. The rogue creature hissed and lunged, but Kira leapt with incredible speed, landing between the students and the attacker. Her massive body blocked the creature's path, and she bared her teeth, warning it to back off. The alien students gasped. None of them had seen a predator move like that. Kira was not attacking without reason. She was protecting. The human raised his hand and spoke calmly. "Kira, stay. Protect them, but do not strike unless necessary." The predator's golden eyes locked on the rogue creature. She lowered her body, ready to spring if needed, but she obeyed the human's command perfectly. The rogue creature growled, circling, trying to find a weak point. One of the smaller alien students tripped over a vine, falling to the ground. The creature looked at them hungrily. Kira shifted instantly, moving closer, and growled louder. The students froze in awe. The human stepped forward, standing tall. "Go back," he commanded. Kira's roar echoed, and the rogue creature hesitated. It could feel her strength, and it knew she would strike if provoked. The human spoke softly, guiding Kira with subtle hand gestures. "Slowly, circle left, block the path." Kira moved with fluid precision, her massive claws barely touching the ground, keeping the rogue creature contained. The aliens watched in amazement. Kira was huge, powerful, and terrifying, but she was controlled perfectly. Every move showed intelligence, discipline, and trust in the human. After a tense moment, the rogue creature growled one last time and retreated into the shadows. Kira lowered her head, growling softly, then turned to the human, waiting for his next command. The human knelt and patted her head gently. "Good job. You protected everyone. Well done." Kira nudged his hand with her nose, calm now as if nothing had happened. The alien students were speechless. They could not stop staring at the human and Kira. "Did you see that?" whispered a green alien. "She blocked it, without hurting it." Another added, "Humans, they can control creatures stronger than us. How is this possible?" The teacher finally spoke, still catching their breath. "This is remarkable. You have demonstrated not just strength, but discipline and trust. I have never seen anything like this in my career." The human smiled slightly. "It's not just power," he said. "It's trust and understanding. Kira trusts me and I trust her. That is why we can face danger together." The students began to move again, walking slowly through the forest. They were still cautious, but their fear had turned into awe. Some whispered to each other, clearly impressed by the human and Kira's teamwork. They had learned a lesson that went beyond class exercises. Humans could work with creatures far stronger than themselves, not by force, but by trust and calm confidence. Throughout the walk back to the academy, Kira stayed close to the human, scanning the forest for any other threats. The students followed at a safe distance, still talking quietly about what they had just witnessed. A few even tried to interact with Kira again, seeing how calm she was after the encounter. They noticed how she allowed gentle touches but remained alert, ready to protect at any moment. By the time they returned to the academy, the students had changed. Fear had given way to respect. They understood something new: humans were different. They could form bonds with powerful creatures that no other species could manage. Strength, intelligence, and calmness could work together to achieve things that brute force alone never could. The teacher nodded at the human. This was more than a field exercise. You have shown the class courage, calm, and trust. They will remember this for a long time. The human smiled, looking down at Kira. She curled at his feet, alert but relaxed, her loyalty clear. The students left the forest talking quietly, still amazed. Many could not believe what they had seen. They had expected a human with a small, harmless pet, but instead they had witnessed a partnership with a predator that could have destroyed them all, and yet it did nothing but protect and follow. The human walked through the academy gates, Kira at his side, both calm and confident. The lesson of the day was clear: power alone is not enough. Trust, understanding, and cooperation can turn even the most dangerous forces into allies. And humans, with their unique way of forming bonds, could face challenges that others could not. The next morning, the classroom was quiet but filled with a new energy. Alien students who had been nervous and afraid before now looked at the human with curiosity and respect. Kira, the massive apex predator, lay calmly at his feet, her golden eyes following every movement in the room. The students whispered to each other, still amazed by what they had seen during the field exercise. The teacher clapped its hands to get everyone's attention. Today we will continue the lessons about teamwork and trust, it said. The students all knew that the human and Kira had already taught them more than anyone else could. Some of them still felt nervous, but most were eager to see what would happen next. The human smiled and knelt beside Kira. Today, he said, you will see that respect is earned, not given. Kira is powerful, but she follows me because I respect her. That is what makes her calm and obedient. You can learn from that. A few brave students stepped closer, wanting to interact with Kira. She lifted her head, sniffing the nearest alien carefully, but she did not move aggressively. The students noticed that she was calm and gentle, yet alert. Even though she could destroy anyone in the room easily, she chose not to because she trusted the human. One of the small green-winged aliens asked, "But how can we earn respect from something so strong?" The human smiled. By being calm, careful, and consistent. By showing that you are not a threat. Trust comes slowly, but it is stronger than fear. Respect is the reward of patience and understanding. The students were amazed. They had learned about strength and intelligence before, but they had never seen how calmness and trust could control something so powerful. One of the blue-skinned aliens whispered to another, "This human is different. He can make a creature follow him without fear. That is incredible." The human stood and gestured to Kira. "Show them how you can help others," he said softly. Kira rose gracefully and walked toward the center of the classroom. She gently nudged a small fallen object toward a trembling alien. Then she moved to another student, letting them touch her fur without fear. Her actions were careful, measured, and protective. The students began to understand fully. Kira's strength alone was not what made her special. It was her bond with the human, built on trust and respect, that allowed her to act with control and care. The aliens watched quietly, realizing that humans could form connections that no other species could manage. The teacher looked at the class and nodded. "I see now," it said. "Respect is not given because of size or power. It is earned by action, patience, and understanding. You have all witnessed this lesson today." One of the shy students finally spoke. I think I understand. Humans can make others follow them not by fear but by showing care. Even something dangerous can become an ally." The human nodded. "Exactly. Strength is important, but it must be guided by trust. That is how true respect works." The rest of the day passed with exercises where the students practiced interacting with Kira under the human's guidance. At first, some were scared, but as they followed his instructions and treated her with patience, they noticed how she responded. She allowed gentle touches, helped move objects, and even watched over them carefully. By the end of the class, the students had learned a lesson that went far beyond the original plan. They had learned about humans. About how humans could form bonds with strength, control dangerous forces with calm, and earn respect without using fear. Kira, the apex predator, lay at the human's side, calm, loyal, and alert. She had taught them as much as the human had, showing them the power of trust in action. Before leaving, the teacher addressed the class. Remember today. Respect must be earned and trust is a powerful force. You have seen this in action. Learn from it and you will understand much more about strength, leadership, and partnership. The students nodded quietly. Some even looked at the human with admiration they had never felt before. As the classroom emptied, the human stood and patted Kira gently. She nudged his hand with her nose and then lay down, curling at his feet. The students whispered to each other, amazed at the bond they had witnessed. Many of them had never seen anything like it. The legend of the human who walked in with an apex predator would be remembered at the academy for a long time. The human smiled quietly to himself. He had not come to prove strength, but to show how respect and trust could turn fear into understanding. Kira had done her part perfectly, demonstrating patience, intelligence, and loyalty. Together, they had changed the way everyone in the room thought about power, danger, and humans. By the end of the day, the classroom had transformed. The alien students no longer looked at humans as weak or ordinary. They had seen what a human could do: face fear, control strength with patience, and earn respect in a way no other species could. And they would carry that lesson with them forever, knowing that trust and understanding could create bonds stronger than any weapon. Kira rested at the human's feet, golden eyes glowing softly. The students watched for a moment longer, then left quietly, still talking among themselves. The human and his apex predator had earned not only respect but also admiration. They had shown that courage and calm, guided by trust, could overcome fear and inspire everyone around them.